Y'all, Brian McKnight just abandoned his biological black children for some new stepkids. And he's getting dragged left and right, and even his new family is getting a lot of hate for this. He has finally come out to defend himself, and y'all are not going to believe the horrible things he had to say about his black kids. Did this man just call his own kids gold diggers? Okay, y'all need to get on this drama ASAP, because child, it's one of the wildest things that I've seen in a while, and y'all know that I've seen some pretty wild drama because these celebs be acting up all the time. Anywho, singer Brian McKnight is getting a lot of smoke online for being a horrible dad, and I'm talking about the fact that he completely cut his first 3 black kids out of his life when he met another woman and got married. So Brian was married to a woman named Julie McKnight from 1990 until they got divorced in 2003. They had 2 sons together, and Brian even cheated on Julie and had a baby on her with another woman. Julie accepted the daughter, whose name was Brianna. Well, Brian decided that he was no longer interested in the marriage, and he divorced Julie. I think he felt like he was divorcing the kids too, because he kind of just stopped being there for them. Well, he did pay child support, but that's the barest minimum he could do as a father. Anywho, he got married again to a woman named Leilani Mendoza, who already had 2 kids of her own before meeting Brian. They had a son, Kikoa Mateo, who unfortunately passed away in infancy, but they welcomed a second son in January, who they named Brian Kanoa Makoa. They refer to him as Brian Jr., and this is messy because Brian already has a Brian Jr., who is his first son with his first wife. What really caught people's attention was the post that Brian made when the boy was born. He took to Instagram to write a long post that the boy can't see because, well, he's a baby and can't read yet. But Brian never writes cute posts for his grown kids who can actually read the post and understand the sentiments. In fact, he doesn't even acknowledge his black kids, but we're going to get into that mess in a bit. For the new baby, he wrote, "Dear baby Brian, every time I look at you and kiss on you, I'm feeling feelings that I did not know I could possess. An overabundance of love between a father and his legacy that cannot be measured. You see, I never was a sentimental man, not until I met your mommy and fell head over heels in love with her. I promise to love, protect, teach, guide, and comfort you every day of the rest of my life, and after I'm gone, I bestow upon you all of the fruits of my labor as my true heir to take care of you and yours for the generations to come." It's wild that this man has had 3 other kids, but somehow this is the first time he's feeling love for a child? A true heir? What are the other kids then? By his own admission, he never loved his other kids when they were born, so I guess it's not all that surprising that he would cut them off. Anywho, when people saw the post, they were like, hold up, ain't this man got another son also named Brian Jr.? Well, it turns out that Brian has completely abandoned his first 3 kids, all of whom are black, by the way, and has adopted his new wife's family and her kids. On his Instagram bio, he says, father of Julia, Jack, Kikoa Mateo, and Brian Kanoa Makoa. And there was no mention of his own biological kid. Julia and Jack are his stepkids, and people have been talking about how weird it is that he is claiming his wife's white kids and not his own kids. His first son, the first Brian Jr., has called him out for his behavior, saying, "I can't imagine abandoning my children, man." It's hard to imagine the psyche of a man who can truly just turn his back on his actual sons, on his actual blood and creations. It's mind-boggling to me. I don't think there is any situation that merits the way my father has chosen to treat my brother, my sisters, and his grandchildren, one of which is his firstborn son, who also bears our name. He continued, "It breaks my heart, but not for myself, specifically for my siblings and my children. They don't deserve this at all, not one bit, and I'm not letting Ish slide, not for 1 second. I've tried my best to take the high road and be the bigger man and all the positive Ish, but there is a much bigger issue here when it comes to black fathers, especially in entertainment, that needs to be addressed." I completely agree with what he is saying about fathers in the entertainment industry, because we all can name famous black men who have just abandoned their family and kids for the sake of the high life. Anyways, this is just disturbing on so many levels. He's out here being the Father of the Year to his stepkids, taking family holiday pictures, buying his stepdaughter a car for her birthday, and taking trips with his stepson. So he likes being a dad, but just not to his own kids. And that's just hella weird. And don't even get me started on the time he said, "Jules, I became a girl dad because of you, and I couldn't have asked for a better daughter." It was obvious he was shading his daughter, Brianna, because he put the "you" in all caps. Imagine being a grown man and shading your kids. What a shame. It's the reason he's got 15 Grammy nominations and no wins. The universe don't like ugly. Anywho, Brianna has also spoken out about how Brian's abandonment makes her feel, and it's quite sad. In an Instagram post, she said, "Daddy's little girl was never really a thing for me. I grew up thinking that the things that happened to me and my dad's relationship was my fault. I grew up thinking that he doesn't want to come to visit me because he doesn't love me. Constantly put behind other kids that he would call his own while I'm cast into a land far, far away in the back of his mind. It sucks knowing that someone else who's not even blood related to you comes before you in every single way. It sucks knowing that my phone calls have to go through a stranger I barely know, that my text messages are read without a response, and that my stepmother tells me that they wish the best for me." She continued, "My father hasn't called to wish me a happy birthday in years, and yet I sit by the phone every single year, hoping that one day his heart will change. I'm so fortunate that I have two brothers who are father figures to me, who celebrate me and love me every single day, and that we make up the time that we lost." Y'all, this is just so heartbreaking. I honestly feel so bad for the daughter. And I thought that his new wife, Leilani, might be innocent in this whole drama, but Brianna's post makes it more than clear that she's fully in support of Brian abandoning his kids. I mean, her screening his phone calls kind of shows that she doesn't want them to have access to him. But trust the internet to drag the people that deserve every bit of it. One person said, "Brian McKnight is an embarrassing, poor excuse for a black man. He's abandoned all his black kids to play daddy to the kids of some Asian woman. Even naming his new son Brian when he already has a son named Brian, pathetic. Brian McKnight a nasty A-man for what he's doing to his older children. How do you have more love for your stepchildren and be present for them but not your biological ones? How do you name another son after the first one you ignore?" He finally tried to defend himself, but it was just a hot mess.
Tough love is a tough thing as a parent to try to institute to your children because you want to help them as much as you can, and I did as much as I possibly could. When I stopped doing that for them, BJ was 25 and Nico was 22. And it wasn't like I completely cut them off at that point. That happened much later.
So by his own admission, he cut his sons off because he wanted them to work. That makes sense, but it doesn't explain why he doesn't acknowledge them and pretend like they don't exist.
Hey, let's also remember that these kids are 30 and 27, not 12. It's time for grown men to be grown men. And I'm sorry that tough love happens to be this way. I do wish them the best.
If you think that's bad, well, it gets worse because he had this to say about abandoning his daughter.
Along the way, a couple years ago, I got wind that there was an older cousin who was above 18 who was quite possibly having sex with her. So I called, as a father should, to the state office for children's affairs there in Arizona, and I never heard anything back. But the next thing that her mother did was to block all of us from her social media, from her phone, and completely estranged her from us. What that told me was they didn't want me to be involved in her life that way. So to see the post that she said, considering that her mother only had a child with me for money in the first place.
This man did not just admit to abandoning his daughter after she got SA'd. Even if her mom was being difficult, it's no reason for him to completely cut his daughter off and pretend like she doesn't exist. And a part about her mom being after his money at first was completely irrelevant and sounded like he was trying to justify his actions. And it's wild that he cut his sons off because he didn't want to give them money, but he's out here buying a brand new BMW for his stepdaughter. Talk about a hypocritical clown. This is a hot mess, but I want to know what you guys think about Brian and his messed up family. Do you think his new wife has some blame in this drama? Drop your opinion in the comments and then check out this next video.